I'm the one, the only, the true Saint 357, here to bring you another Saint Reviews, where I hack apart a vast world of horror into little pink dripping bite-sized chunks for you all to sink your teeth into like freshly reanimated corpses. Today's episode is all about the new horror flick that just came out, Harbinger Down. If the name Harbinger Down sounds at all familiar to any of you, it's because it got a lot of publicity a while back for its use of the website Kickstarter in procuring its funding. It was planned as the first truly crowdsourced major horror motion picture made for fans by fans. It was also hyped for being a throwback to the golden age of monster movies, featuring a completely practical effects-driven film with little to no CGI. It was the brainchild of special effects agency ADI that's worked on everything from Alien to Nightmare on Elm Street. To be frank, the entire film was the special effects industry's big middle finger to the major studios that have been drifting further and further away from traditional practical makeup effects in lieu of cheaper CGI-driven films. The movie amazed and enthralled horror fans like myself, and I'm sure many of you. And the project easily met its Kickstarter goal. An homage to all the blood and goriness of the 80s creature features. How could we not drool in anticipation for this? Harbinger Down is a straight-up The Thing clone, which, in and of itself, is not bad. After all, that is exactly what it set out to be. Since this whole war between the special effects studio and the actual film studios started when ADI was hired to do the effects on the Thing remake. You may remember that from a few years ago. But quickly through production, they had their practical effects dumped in lieu of CGI blood and guts. Harbinger Down was made to be the film that they wanted to make with all the puppets, animatronics, and makeup they were denied use. However, whether it be to budget or time restrictions, the film simply could not live up to the expectations it had made for itself. The storyline is decent enough, but seems unpolished, with stereotypical characters and complete lack of growth in either development or storytelling, which, would have been easy enough to overlook. After all, I'm sure we all came into this looking for a good old-fashioned splatterfest. We were promised buckets of blood and beautiful practical effects that would make our inner child scream in horrific delight. Instead, the buckets, what we barely got, were drops of blood. The original The Thing worked so well because it was gruesome and gory. Harbinger Down barely shows any gore at all, and what it does show is always half out of frame and barely lit. This is supposed to be a monster movie, but instead of the monster taking center stage, our creature hides in dim corners, barely showing itself throughout the film, almost as if it were afraid of its own ugliness. And I might have been okay with that if it was for the sake of suspense. After all, the original Alien, we barely ever got glimpses of the xenomorph, never even seeing its full glory until the very end of the movie. It's clear Harbinger Down tried to capture this same suspense and drama, but unfortunately falls short in doing so. If I'm being harsh, it is only because this film promised so much, yet failed to fully deliver on any of it. It set out to be an independently created film to show that art could still be created without the crutch of the major studios. Yet, it still required 60% of its budget to come from those same studios. It was supposed to revitalize the stagnating horror genre and bring back the gloriness of the 80s creature features. Instead, it gives us a bland, shaky cam rehashing of tired tropes. The greedy, a-hole professor who inexplicably wants all the credit for a find that frankly has nothing to do with his field of expertise, and somehow defies logic as to why he becomes so desperate to possess this thing that, frankly, at the time doesn't seem valuable. Then we have the stern but loving old sea captain, the monotone leading lady that looks like she does her best to channel Bella from Twilight. Despite all these flaws, Harbinger Down could have redeemed itself if it had just lived up to its most core aspect. It was meant to show that practical effects are still better than computer-generated graphics, something I personally believe. Sadly, the effects in Harbinger Down, while somewhat interesting, are not only not spectacular, they're unpolished and below the standards that this studio has set in the past. Harbinger Down is not a terrible film. In fact, taken out of context from all its background hype and the expectations it built up for itself, it might be a good movie. But it simply did itself a disservice, creating such a big gap between what the fans expected from it and what it could realistically deliver. If this film has taught us anything, it's that crowdsourcing may be great for smaller projects and independent media like short films or internet-centered releases. The Kung Fury comes to mind, another 80s themed nostalgia throwback that was also crowdfunded and meant to be a full-length motion picture. But when it became clear it could never reach that goal of becoming a full-fledged movie, instead opted to consolidate itself into a short internet video that did amazing for itself. Truly, I suggest you go and check it out. It's not horror-based, but if you're an 80s fan, you'll love it. You have to understand your limitations when doing any sort of media. It simply tried to be too much. It tried to be an independent film and a AAA blockbuster at the same time. Independent films are good because they're story-driven pieces, and big special effects movies are good because they have mind-blowing stunts and eye-melting cinematics. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry. But most of all, for any great work, you need a Spielberg or Kubrick-like director behind the camera. That's what made 80s movies so good, were their visionary directors. No movie can be good without vision. Harbinger Down just wanted to show off its practical effects. It simply had no love for plot and nothing it wanted to say with its film. And it clearly plays out that way throughout the whole story. Now, having gotten all my gripes out of the way, it is still worth a watch. Opinions about this movie are split down the middle, with people either loving or hating it. And while it may come off from everything that I've said that I am on the lighter side of that fence, I am not. This was an ambitious movie, and I do applaud the team at ADI for making it happen. They worked hard, and they got it made. It's possible the film will find a cult following like all the great films it tries to live up to. I don't know. I can't see the future. Not yet, at least, but I'm trying. But what I do know is that the battle of practical versus computer effects will not be won by one side foregoing the other. They're both two sides to the same coin and work best together, each one needing the other to supplement its own weaknesses. The opening screen of the film comes to mind. This shows a spacecraft falling out of control towards Earth. It's very clear from the first shot that this is a model on a string. It's clunky and lacks realism. This would have been a great place to use CGI to enhance the imagery. Moments later, when the capsule is burning up on re-entry, that practical effect of having real fire, breaking off pieces, and live in-shot is what makes practical effects beautiful. They're great for tight, close-up, realistic work. Whereas digital is best used for wide, sweeping backgrounds and adding in the things that you just can't make look right by hand. Anyway, I'm sorry for the long rant there, but it is sort of my job. These are just my opinions, and I implore you not to just take my word on it. Go out, see the film yourself. It's available online, and decide how you feel. I'm just a guide to help you find your way. Well, anyway, I've been an alien parasitic hive mind pretending to be Saint 357 for WickedZombies.com. And as always, go out and enjoy the wait. We will all become one.